Hello everyone. I've been thinking a lot about one of the things that we as human beings do that annoys me terribly, and that is selling each other the idea of groups. Whether it's selling the idea that you belong to a group, that belonging to a group is good, that belonging to this particular group is good, that this is a bad group and you should get out of it, that you should go destroy that group. We sell each other groups and have for as long as we have been selling each other stuff. The most recent aspect of this that's really come to my attention, as far as I can tell, as nearly as anything as having to do with us began around the time of the mission statement that was revitalized in the 1990s, early 90s, late 80s. Essentially, the idea of what a corporation does that it sells to itself. And this kind of was merged seamlessly in with the older concept of the brand until in this decade, or actually the aughts and now the teens, or will be the teens. Sorry, I'm tired. The brand is not only something that a corporation tells about itself to itself, it is a culture it exports to other people, whether they be direct customers or just people who indirectly perform word-of-mouth marketing for them. I.e., the person who doesn't drink tea or coffee, but whose friend bought them a Starbucks mug, and they use that Starbucks mug for whatever it is that they do drink. But the idea of a brand annoys me, mostly because it is yet another form of tribal marker that really centers around something that has very little to do with reality. And when I say very little to do with reality, I think of things like Nike not really making shoes anymore, about Microsoft selling an operating system, but really having never had anything to do with computers, except to make computers prefer their operating system in the way they like it, to the point that Mac has switched to Intel's because it's much, much cheaper to simply go with the same processor that Microsoft uses. And going beyond this, tourist season in DC with tour buses and interns and fucking people. In any case, there are many, many, many ways in which the brand is no longer available to the people who actually make the stuff, that the workers on lines are working for subcontractors that sell the stuff to the corporation or then slaps its label on them and sells them to a retailer, which has its own brand. And so who knows how many layers of false tribalism you're going through to get to your cup of coffee or your phone or whatever. And one thing that really I try to keep in mind is, for example, general principle, I try to stay away from brands. For instance, I'm not an iPhone person or a Windows 7 person or an Android person. I just think that the Android OS sucks a little less than the others as far as the political and social consequences of giving money to that corporation. There are things that suck about all of it. And that's the other half. If you're going to say that, a brand is just another kind of secular religion or even just religion, then you have to, and you're going to reject the prepackaged group of values and ideas and ideals that come with it, then you're going to have to take some responsibility for coming up with your own. And the only way you can do this is you're going to have to find some brands you can live with and watch them very suspiciously, because we as human beings cannot keep track of all of the things that we have to deal with in daily life. I'm sorry, it just infuriates me. And not necessarily a brand, I was just stuck on that word, but even if it's just, okay, I know something about this clothing company and I know who they sell to and what their, where their manufacturing facilities are, then at least you can stick with that. But you wind up wearing fairly simple clothing, or at least not a great variety. And for God's sake, stay away from American apparel. But that's just my personal opinion. Basically, the heavier a company is into its brand rather than what it actually does, the more you can be sure that the people they employ, directly or indirectly, they are exploiting and degrading. And if you can't think of it too far that way, just remember that you as a purchaser, and therefore a billboard for their products, are one of the people they're employing in their marketing department, and you are paying for the privilege. So, short form is, brands suck because there's someone else trying to occupy space in your head for the purpose of you then passing it on to other people. And I'd rather not pass on an immaterial social disease. And really, there's nothing to be proud of about buying a particular product or not buying a particular product. The only thing you really can be proud of is what you've done with yourself. So, do it. Other than that, thank you for your time and attention.